Many have assumed that Buddy's best friend is the same person. The story has been broadcast, recorded, filmed, and staged multiple times in several award-winning productions. The first time it was adapted for television was in 1966 by ABC's Stage 67. It starred Geraldine Page, one of America's great actresses, and Donnie Melvin, and Truman Capote was the narrator. Both the teleplay and Geraldine Page won Emmys for the production. Our memories of Christmas celebrations are often of a mixed variety. Oh yes, there are those memories that make us smile, warm our hearts. However, there are other memories of past Christmases that remind us that life is not perfect. We live with the mixed bag of emotions of sweetness and sourness, memories that make us feel good, memories that sadden us, memories that lift our spirits, and memories that feel as if there is a sack of cement on our shoulders. I believe Capote has captured this mixed bag of emotional memories in this story. Doug Cummins will be the voice of Buddy, speaking about his memories of past Christmas. Judy Neal is the voice of Zook, a 60-year-old eccentric woman and 7-year-old Buddy's best friend. The story takes place in late November in rural Alabama in the late 1930s. Sit back, close your eyes, let your imagination wander as you listen to this adaptation of A Christmas Memory.
A woman with shorn white hair is standing in the kitchen window. She's wearing tennis shoes and a shapeless gray sweater over a calico dress. She is small and sprightly, like a bantam hen. But due to a long youthful illness, her shoulders are painfully hunched. Her face is remarkable, not unlike Lincoln's, craggy like that, and tinted by sun and wind. But it's delicate, too, finely boned, and her eyes are sherry-colored and timid.
Oh my, it's fruitcake weather. I knew it before I got out of bed. The courthouse bell sounded so cold and clear, and there were no birds singing. They've gone to a warmer country, yes indeed. Oh, Buddy, stop stuffing biscuits in your mouth and fetch our buggy. Help me find my hat. We've got 30 fruitcakes to bake.
I am 7, and she is 60-something. We're cousins, very distant ones, and we have lived together, well, as long as I can remember. We're each other's best friends. It's always the same. Every year in November, my friend announces, "It's fruitcake weather. Fetch our buggy. Help me find my hat." The hat is found, a straw cartwheel corsage with faded velvet roses. It once belonged to a more fashionable relative. Together we got our buggy, along with Queenie, our tough little orange and white rat terrier, who has survived distemper and 2 rattlesnake bites, into the grove of pecan trees. 3 hours later, we're back in the kitchen, hulling a heaping buggy load of windfall pecans. Our backs hurt from gathering them. How hard they were to find among the concealing leaves, the frosted and deceiving grass. A miniature thunder sounds as the shells collapse and the golden mound of sweet, oily ivory meat mounts in the milk glass bowl.
Tomorrow, Buddy, the work that we like best begins. We need to buy cherries and citron, ginger and vanilla, and canned Hawaiian pineapple rinds, and raisins and walnuts and whiskey. And oh, so much flour, butter, and so many eggs, spices, flavorings. Why, we'll need a pony to pull the buggy home.
We wake early and immediately we have to face the problem. Neither of us has any money. Except for the skinflint sums that other persons in our household occasionally provide, or what we earn ourselves from our annual rummage sale, selling buckets of hand-picked blackberries, jars of homemade jam and apple jelly and peach preserves, rounding up flowers for funerals and weddings. Why, once we won 79th prize, $5, in a national football contest. Not that we know a fool thing about football. It's just that we enter any contest we hear about. We entered the Name That Coffee contest recently. It has a $50,000 prize. But to tell the truth, our only profitable enterprise was the Fun and Freak Museum. We conducted it in the woodshed 2 summers ago. The fun was, well, we borrowed from one of our relatives, without her knowledge or approval, a stereopticon with slides of Washington and New York City. The freak part of the museum was a 3-legged bitty chicken hatched by one of our own hens. Everyone wanted to see the bitty. We charged grown-ups a nickel and kids 2 cents. We took in a good $20 before the museum shut down due to the demise of the main attraction. We keep our money in an old beaded purse. This year, according to my friend's calculations, we have $12.73. According to my calculations, we have $13.
Oh, buddy, I do hope you're wrong. We can't mess around with 13. The cakes will fall or put someone in the cemetery. Why, I wouldn't dream of getting out of bed on the 13th, and that is why I stay in bed on all the 13ths. Let's be on the safe side. Take a penny, throw it out the window.
Of the ingredients that go into our fruitcakes, whiskey is the most expensive, as well as the hardest to obtain in a county where its sale is forbidden. But everybody knows you can buy a bottle from Mr. Ha Ha Jones. So we set out for Mr. Ha Ha's business address, a sinful, to quite public opinion, fish fry and dancing cafe down by the river. We've been there before and on the same errand, but in previous years our dealings have always been with Ha Ha's wife, an iodine dark Indian woman with brassy peroxide hair and a dead tired disposition. We have never laid eyes on her husband, though we've heard he's an Indian too. A giant with razor scars across his cheeks. They call him Ha Ha because he's a gloomy man who never laughs. As we approach his cafe, a large log cabin festooned inside and out with garish gray naked light bulbs, standing by the river's muddy edge. Our steps slow down. Even Queenie stops prancing and sticks close by. People have been murdered in Ha Ha's cafe. I knock at the door. Queenie barks.
Mrs. Ha Ha, ma'am? Anyone home?
We hear heavy footsteps approaching. The door opens. Our hearts overturn. It's Mr. Ha Ha Jones himself. And he is a giant. He does have scars. He doesn't smile. No, he glares at us through Satan-tilted eyes and demands to know...
If you please, Mr. Ha Ha, we'd like a quart of your finest whiskey. Oh, no, Mr. Ha Ha, it's not for drinking, it's for cooking. We're making fruitcakes.
He retreats into the shadowed cafe and seconds later appears carrying a bottle of daisy yellow unlabeled liquor. He demonstrates its sparkle in the sunlight and asks for $2. We pay with nickels and dimes and pennies. He's jangling the coins in his hand like a fistful of dice, when suddenly he pours the money back into our beaded purse, and his face softens. And believe it or not, he almost smiles.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Ha Ha. Buddy, we'd best be getting along. We're going to put extra raisins in Mr. Ha Ha's fruitcake.
So for the next 4 days, the black stove, stoked with coal and firewood, glows like a lighted pumpkin. Egg beaters whirl, spoons spin around in bowls of butter and sugar. Vanilla sweetens the air. Ginger spices it. Melting, nose-tingling odors saturate the kitchen, suffuse the house, and drift out to the world on puffs of chimney smoke. 31 fruitcakes dampened with whiskey bask on windowsills and shelves. Who are they for? The larger shares for people we have never met. Maybe but once, perhaps not at all. People who've struck our fancy, like President and Mrs. Roosevelt, like the Reverend and Mrs. J.C. Lucy, Baptist missionaries to Borneo, who lectured here last winter, or the little knife girl who comes around through town twice a year, or Abner Parker, the driver of the 6 o'clock bus from Mobile, who exchanges waves with us every day as he passes in a dust cloud whoosh, or the young Watsons, a California couple whose car one afternoon broke down outside the house. These acquaintances seem to be our best friends. The kitchen is empty. The cakes are gone. Yesterday, we carted the last of them to the post office where the cost of stamps turned our purse inside out. We're broke. This rather depresses me, but my friend insists on celebrating with 2 inches of whiskey left in Ha-Ha's bottle. Queenie has a spoonful of it in a bowl of coffee. She likes her coffee chicory flavored and strong. The rest is divided between a pair of jelly glasses. The taste of it brings screwed up expressions and sour shudders. But by and by we begin to sing, the 2 of us singing different songs simultaneously. I don't know all the words to mine, just come on along to the Darktown Strutters Ball. We giggle as if unseen hands were tickling us. Queenie rolls on her back, her paws plow in the air at something. A grin stretches her black lips. I feel warm and sparky as those crumbling logs, carefree as the wind in the chimney. My friend waltzes around the stove, the hem of her poor calico skirt pinching her fingers, singing,
Oh, show me the way to go home. I had a little drink about an hour ago, and it went right to my cerebellum.
We were severely reprimanded and sent to bed. We really slept well that night. The next day, we began to make decorations for our Christmas tree. We sat for days at the kitchen table with scissors and crayons and stacks of colored paper. I make sketches, and my friend cuts them out. Lots of cats, fish too, some apples, some watermelons, and a few winged angels devised from saved-up sheets of Hershey bar tinfoil. We use safety pins to attach these creations to the tree, and as a final touch, we hang a bone for Queenie high up in the tree, and then we sprinkle the branches with shredded cotton. On Christmas morning, we get up early, and then she always drops the old iron tea kettle on the stone floor, and I always tap dance in the hall outside of the bedrooms. One by one, the household emerges, looking like they'd like to kill us both. But it's Christmas, so they won't. After a big breakfast, we open our presents. I am disappointed. Who would not be? What with socks, a Sunday school shirt, some handkerchiefs, a hand-me-down sweater, and a year's subscription to a religious magazine for children. It makes me boil. It really does. My friend has a better haul. A sack of Japanese tangerines, that's her best present. She is proudest, however, of a white wool shawl knitted by her married sister. But she says her favorite gift is the kite I built for her. And it is very beautiful, though it's not as beautiful as the one she made for me, which is blue and scattered with gold and green good conduct stars, and my name, Buddy, is printed on it. The wind is blowing, and nothing will do till we've run out to a pasture below the house where Queenie has scooted to bury her bone. There, plunging through the healthy waist-high grass, we unreel our kites, feeling them twitching at the string like sky fish as they swim into the wind. Satisfied, sun-warmed, we sprawl in the grass and peel tangerines and watch our kites cavort. Soon I forget the socks and the hand-me-down sweater. I'm as happy as if we'd already won the $50,000 grand prize in that coffee naming contest.
My, how foolish I am, buddy. You know what I've always thought? I always thought a body would have to be sick and dying before they saw the Lord. And I imagined that when he came, it would be like looking at the big window down at the Baptist church as colored glass with the sun pouring through, such a shine you don't even know that it's getting dark outside. And it's been a comfort to think of that shine taking away all the spooky feelings. But I'll wager it never happens. I'll wager at the very end, a body realizes that the Lord has already shown himself, that things as they are just what they've always been was seeing him. As for me, I could leave the world with today in my eyes.
This is our last Christmas together. Life separates us. Those who think they know best that I belong in a military school, as so follows a miserable succession of bugle-blowing prisons, grim, reveille-ridden summer camps, I have a new home, too, but it doesn't count. Home is where my friend is, and there I never go. And there she remains, puttering around the kitchen.
Dear buddy, yesterday Jim Macy's horse kicked Queenie really bad. Be thankful she didn't feel much. I wrapped her in a fine linen sheet and rode her in the buggy down to Simpson's pasture where she can be with all her bones.
For a few Novembers, she continues to bake her fruitcakes. Single-handed, not as many, but some, and of course she always sends me the best of the batch. She sends me short letters, and in every one of them there is a dime wadded up in the toilet paper with a note that says, "See a picture show and write the story for me." Gradually becomes more obvious that the 13th day of the month is not the only day she stays in bed. Then a morning arrives one cold November, a leafless, birdless coming of winter, when she cannot rouse herself to exclaim, "Oh my, it's fruitcake weather." When that happens, I know it. A message saying so merely confirms a piece of some secret vein had already received it, severing me from an irreplaceable part of myself, letting it loose like a kite on a broken string. That's why, walking across a school campus this December morning, I keep searching the sky, as if I expected to see, rather like hearts, a pair of kites hurrying toward heaven. Thank you.
The three of us decided that we would open it up for your comments, questions, et cetera, et cetera. So feel free to say something.
Thank you for a lovely Christmas present.
Thank you.
Would you mind reading the part again when she talks about her feelings about God or the light? Or I had a hard time focusing on, I couldn't quite hear exactly that, and I just thought I'd like to hear it again. Do you mind?
Not at all. My, how foolish I am, buddy. You know what I've always thought? I always thought a body would have to be sick and dying before they saw the Lord. And I imagined that when he came, it would be like looking at the big window down at the Baptist church, as colored glass with the sun pouring through. Such a shine you don't even know that it's getting dark outside. And it's been a comfort to think of that shine taking away all the spooky feelings. But I'll wager it never happens. I'll wager that at the very end, a body realizes that the Lord has already shown himself, that things as they are, just what they've always been, was seeing him. As for me, I could leave the world with today in my eyes. Does that help?
And by the way, that's pretty good theology. Yeah. Anybody else? I'm sorry.
I just really love having people read to me. It's great.
Okay.
I love to read to people.
Do you have comments about it?
This touched me differently today than it ever has. I had a hard time getting some of those sentences out because it meant so much. So I had to swallow.
Do you?
Yeah, this is very hard. It's really hard to read, particularly at the end. It takes me back to some very serious losses at Christmas time, and I had to wipe away tears at the end. It's just hard. The mourning never goes away.
What makes the difference is there are people listening. And we look out there and we see your face. We see your eyes and we go, thank you.
I think in terms of that sense of loss, that I guess it brought up for me a little bit of a regret, like, was I really present for those days when the fruitcake were being made, like analogous situation? Because, it's sort of like all we have is this moment to live into, and so later on, you don't know that the person's going to still be there, but we kind of take that for granted. And so, I know it gave me a little bit of a sorrow about, I don't know if it's like a combination of that feeling of realizing, oh, that is life, that things happen and move on. Can you ever really show up so much, 100%, that you get like every little crumb out of that beautiful experience? Or do you have that one thought about, oh, did I, leave the stove on or something, So, I don't know, that's just kind of what's bubbling up.
This afternoon, today, a member of our family, I won't tell which one it is because I don't want to embarrass somebody, but I'm cooking steak. And we're having dinner together. We're probably going to drink too much wine. He's a grown-up. And we're going to celebrate life as a family. We try to do that every single time somebody has a birthday. And it's worth the trouble. And we'll get together Christmas too. People are going to come around and they're going to be in our house. And we're going to have a ham. Yeah.
Anyone else?
He did.
We wondered how you edited the story for the Reader's Theater this morning.
How I edited it. Well, I left out a little bit about Mr. Ha Ha. In the original story, he has a part, and I left that out. That's the major part that I left out about Mr. Ha Ha. Anybody else?
I have heard this a number of times, but I've never been as moved as I was today.
Thank you.
And I don't know whether it was Chuck's cutting or your feelings, but it was very moving today.
It's also this place.
You realize, of course, that if you do something twice in the Episcopal Church, it is now a tradition, and it will last for 150 years. Thank you all for coming.